Hey, USG listeners, this is Julie. I am so excited about today's guest. You guys, you're in for such a treat. This is someone who's really inspired me so much, and you're going to fall in love with Rod. I can't wait to tell you all about him. So let me share with you and introduce you to Rod Hairston. Rod is an international authority in mindset, peak performance, behavioral conditioning, leadership, and organizational culture. He also has an enormous heart and one of the most heart-centered people I've met. I just want to add that in. That was not in his bio, but I had to say that. Rod has coached Forbes 400 executives, elite professional athletes, and industry-leading organizations such as Disney, ABC, Quicken Loans, and Honeywell. As a compelling keynote speaker and the CEO of Trusum Visions, LLC, and its global enterprises, Rod and his amazing team continue to impact individuals and organizations around the world to achieve effective, lasting results. It is such an honor. I got to meet you a couple times now. You are somebody I've just been so inspired by. I'm so honored and thrilled you're here, Rod. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love getting this opportunity to work with you. Love your work, Julie. Love your work.
Thank you. This is going to be, for those tuning in right now, mutual, just love going right back and forth. I feel like we're in a tennis match. It's just love, love, love. You're such an inspiration. And I think what would be really cool is to talk a little bit, this idea of the USU, you're living your authentic self, just for people tuning in who don't know you, don't know your story, just to give us a sense of you and maybe some of what you've struggled with or dealt with to get to who you are today, being an authority figure around these topics of transformation and mindset. Like, what's gotten you to where you are today?
So beautiful. And I mean, I'll just say this. What I love about this program, and it ties into my story and your work, your programming, your work is the USU. And I grew up taught not to put any emphasis towards you, to be shameful about you, to feel bad about you, to really come from that place of guilt, shame, sort of this confusing vulnerability, which is power, with being shameful, feeling guilty, putting yourself beneath something always. And it never felt right because I always had these gifts to cultivate. Yet I always sabotaged the gifts because you have to focus on you in order to really build a foundation to allow your gifts to serve. And that's what they're for.
Yeah.
Again, I had beautiful intent. I had a beautiful heart, but I was very ignorant to really what it meant to thoroughly love you and get to know you and serve you and embrace both your ups and your downs, your right and your wrongs, right? Your yin and your yang. Love it all. And I just remember at one point in my life, I grew up, again, very fundamentally religious, feeling shameful and guilty, but never feeling like I was getting to know me. I didn't know me, right? And I was like, whatever this imposter shame guilt thing is not who I am. And because I'm not who I am, right, I'm not cultivating my gifts. Now, a lot of times people will say, well, be yourself. Well, if yourself isn't valuable and joyful and healthy, then it's not really you. It's still conditioning. Yeah. So I believe the authentic self is always the gifts and your sort of divine purpose in life. And I just kind of remember realizing that when I was in the military and getting out of the military and reading so many books and really aligning with my friend and mentor, Tony Robbins, back in the early 90s, and becoming a trainer and then a master trainer and owning 2 franchises with him. And from that, leveraging all of the people that I was able to meet and serve and help by being in that community, and then branching off and taking some of those principles and then really tailoring them to the more of the conditioning than the significant emotional events. Just really how do you change behavior? I can get to know me in a glimpse, right? Sometimes I you'll wake up and go, there's something special about me, but then the conditioning will take over.
Yeah.
So really my goal was, once you get a glimpse of you, the journey now becomes every day chipping away at that conditioning until you allow that gift that's always been there to now start leading the way. And that's, again, so that's the 45-day, the 60-day, the 30-day programs, all around chipping away at the old identity, the old conditioning, the old shame, the old belief systems, everything that gets in the way of genius that's already there.
Mm.
And again, I want everybody to hear that. Like, again, people have convinced us that your gender, your color, or your religion, or your circumstances have anything to do with what's inside of you, that genius. Just know that if you lived 1,000 years, you still wouldn't use 5% of what you are. So it's never a capability problem. Never. It's always just an awareness problem. An implementation of that awareness. It's always. So really think about that. I just want you guys to and that's science, guys. It's not motivation. You're walking around with 100 billion brain cells, or the most complex cells. Your nervous system, your electrical system, your physical body, your spirit, everything inside of you is meant for more, right? It's meant for more. The only thing that's holding you back is what somebody's passed down, the regulator that's been put on.
Yeah.
And that's the gift. Understanding that creates this beautiful gift in life, is to discover, right? That's a really, no matter how much value I offer in this lifetime, there's always more. I'll never get to there. There is no there. So as long as I live, I get to unfold and discover, and the fulfillment that comes with that, and the joy of showing other people how to do it by just being an example of possibility is beautiful.
Wow.
So I was all over the place with that one, Julie.
No, that's awesome. I have Julie, I have so many questions. I'm going to just pace myself. I'm taking my notes. I'm not going to give you 5 at once, but what I'm curious about is, what's so fascinating to me is, it sounds like you're talking about growing up in this very kind of closed, structured experience where you said shame and guilt. And the way I know you is this extremely open-hearted, just incredibly vulnerable and real and authentic and in touch with your emotions and who you are. So there had to be I'm curious about what happened and how did you get that transformation? And I know you talked about conditioning, and just how did you recondition or chip away what wasn't you? Because who you are today, it's that's incredible given where you came from. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for some reason, as a kid, I always would get these bursts of gratitude out of nowhere. I didn't know what it was, but maybe once a week, I would just get this energy that would pour over me, and I would just be so grateful for everything. And everything was beautiful, and it was just, and I would long for the next opportunity for that feeling to come, and it would just come, and I didn't know what it was. But then when I started hearing what people would tell me about religion, let's say, or their own beliefs about religion, and then it would be fearful or jealousy or envy or and you got to do this, rules driven on rules that would just be for someone's preference. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And why wasn't it as authentic as that feeling that I got that came from nothing? And I started thinking, early on as a kid, nobody gave me that feeling. No man did anyway. And I thought, that feeling is so absolutely beautiful. It's got to come from something more divine than man. And the lessons that I'm supposed to get in life has got to come from something more divine than man. So I stopped listening early on. And I was just getting in trouble all the time because I always thought, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And the things that made sense felt so good. Right. There were things that just that you couldn't argue, that you couldn't debate, that there was things that were so seamless. It's like nobody ever says, I'm going to kill myself to prove that the sun exists.
Right.
Nobody ever says that. Nobody even tries to get you to believe that the sun is really there.
It's great. Right.
Right. It's
Yeah. Like, nope.
Nope. You don't have to teach a baby not to look into the sun. They know.
Right.
Right. Every plant grows towards the sun. And I think that principle is like that. Right. Anything that's divine is like that. Everything else is made up.
Yeah.
And so I think, when I feel in alignment with my gifts, and then I would get these little glimpses as a kid of like how things were supposed to be. And I remember my dad grew up my dad was had this really high IQ, and he would do my mother's homework, and she was in college, and he could do her homework in 5 minutes, anything she did he could draw, he could sing, he had all of this talent. And he went to Vietnam. He got his throat cut in Vietnam, but lived, got his wrist cut and lived. And he came home and he couldn't vote.
Oh my God.
Right. And so he was just a very bitter person. And he didn't like that I had to grow up in a country that would be this way. He didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so he took it out on me in a way of making me tough as a young kid, 3 years old, and for really being abusive to get me strong enough.
Wow.
And he would tell me things about people, and my grandfather would come behind him and say things like, well, Rod, I don't want to disrespect what your father's saying, but before you judge anyone, just check and see if they're an angel first. Because angels come in every color, every gender, every size, every shape. So check and see if they're an angel. And then if they're not an angel, then believe what you want to believe about them. So that felt right for me. Mm-hmm. And I remember as a kid looking at everybody as though they were an angel. Mm-hmm. And I just found a lot of angels because people were just really great to me. I was like, well, I don't know why they're great to me. But but that was my intention. My intention was to find that beautiful part in them. See, I think that that's really more powerful than anything else, because even people will respond to me. My mother tells a story. When I was a kid on the train, I would come back with all of this money. And then people were, is this your kid? And they give me money. And she goes, how did this, everywhere we went, I would walk away and come back with money on a train or any type of trip, or in New York, because we lived in New Jersey. And she would say, what is this little kid doing? And she loves telling that story. And people would come and say, is this your child? And she was like, what is this little kid doing? Like, why are these weird, strange people giving this little kid money back in early 70s? They're giving this little kid money. And I think it had a lot to do with just me being ignorant to the fact that people might have weaknesses. I just didn't see them because I wasn't taught to look for them. I was taught to look for what was beautiful.
Wow. Ooh, that's really well said. And I'm thinking for people listening, as you take that information, what you did naturally, like I'm thinking the question, like, how can you look for the beautiful, or teach yourself to look for that in others? Because you'll get it back. I mean, you got it back in the form of money randomly, which is awesome.
Money. I'd come back with dollars, and my mother would be like,
what did you do?
Did you steal? And then people would come and say, I gave it to him and I just wanted to give him something. And it was like, what is this little strange little boy? And she tells that story all the time, and it's kind of like, oh boy. But now I'm just piecing everything together. Yeah. That I could do that with people my whole life, but never with myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I love your work, and I love everything that you're doing, and why instantly you and I just started holding hands. Like, it was something crazy. It was like, so weird. Remember that? It was just kind of like, well, why am I touching this person?
Right.
You know? And it's like, it was like that beautiful spirit that you just felt, right? That you felt that somebody got you and you got them.
Totally. I'll share with people, we were both speaking, the funny thing is we both did a TEDx talk in Austin. Yeah. I hadn't even met you yet. I mean, I remembered seeing I had to leave to get my flight. I remember seeing what you were speaking about, and I was really bummed because I wanted to hear you. And then it wasn't until we were speaking at another, like a veterans-based event. My father's a veteran. I'm not, but I know you are. And I heard, so everyone listening, I heard Rod, and I was like, who is this? This is like everything I stand for, believe in. Who is this like angelic being? Just, you know, so to me, just being so clear, open-hearted, and just really a stand for people to get out of their own way and to, as you talked about, you know, living in alignment with your best self and your purpose. And I picked up right away when you were speaking, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have got to connect. I don't know who you are. And then we found out we had spoken at the other event, and
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it was just so cool. That was a very cool moment. It's a great example.
Very cool moment. And we talked, and then I went to get you a book, and it was just like you felt so connected. Like, again, you felt like it was a spiritual sort of tie, and it was really interesting, and I love that about you. So, and you know what's so funny? Because you'll feel a little significant. Then when my whole team met you, they all felt the same way. So,
love it for saying that.
I was significant for a few weeks.
No,
Julie loves everybody.
No, it was really, yeah. This is, I think for those listening to it, like this idea of how you're being and what you put out there, like you just hit on the nail, you know, and jokingly you got all these dollars, but it's true. It's a choice. What you're looking for is what will come back. So I was like, oh my God, this is like brother from another mother. And then like a family from another family. I mean, everyone who's part of your team is just, oh my gosh. I mean, people, we'll have all your information, because I want to talk about what you teach, what you speak about, conditioning, mindset, how you help people make real change. Because I think there's so much out there, and I think there's a lot of wonderful people out there teaching this. We need as many as possible, is my thought. But you have a way of doing this that I think is very, very both effective and powerful. And would love to talk about what you teach. How, for those listening that are like, yeah, I want to change my mindset. I want to recondition my thoughts. I don't want to feel, you know, vulnerable or shame, or I want to feel like I can step into my best self. Tell us about what you teach and how you do it and your programs, because I know it's amazing.
Well, wow. Thank you for the opportunity here. And it's a lot, and I think I can chunk it in this way. I really think that step number one, we teach that you have to accept every aspect of you before you can change it. So we're kind of taught in a way where we have to be very careful, is that something that is not serving us, we shouldn't like it. We should attack it. It's almost like trying to catch something that I'm angry at. Well, it's going to move away. And it's older than you, and it's it's probably passed on from generation to generation. A lot of times it's just been there. So you got to accept that everything that my parents or my grandparents, or everything that they gave me in some weird way, they were attempting to serve me, or it's warped love, right? And so that's just who they are. So I don't have to like everything about myself, but I have to love everything about myself. And I have to think every aspect of every one of my patterns for their attempt to help me move away from some pain or towards some pleasure, or whatever it was attempting to do, and thank it. Like, thank you. It's not serving me anymore. And I think that acceptance, number one, really serves you. And some people do it in different ways. Like if you go to a Robbins event, you're going to go through a significant emotional event in really helping you not only identify, but just breaking the pattern, devastating the pattern. And he'll keep you in a room and use time and energy and just power and NLP and NAC to really take you through a significant event. Our way is more conditioning every day for a certain amount of time. Right? Really understanding that it's more the commitment and consistency, regardless of how you feel. Like you take action to build a habit, and then you allow the habit to get the results for you. So once I identify what vision I want and what patterns I need to break, then I'm going to First, create a vision of where I want to go, and then identify the patterns that aren't serving me and thank them for their service. Allow them to mature, right? Allow them to mature, allow them to become more sort of supportive to the vision, because everything wants to be productive. The third phase is to really look at building new habits. Most action that we take in life is to get a result, not to build a habit. And so that really works against us. That's like, I want to lose weight and I start a diet where I go from eating a whole cake to lettuce.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really. I'm working against the way I'm designed. That's a significant emotional event, and it's just going to create a lot of pain unconsciously towards what you want. So really being thoughtful and doing things for the long term and being methodical and using your focus, your language, your physical expression to really look at building that new pattern, right? And then continuing to break patterns. That next phase is really looking at disciplining your imagination. What does that mean? Well, focusing. That's all focus is. Focus is your ability to take all of your imagination, all of your memory, and put it in this moment, right now. Some people can help you focus, and if you like their style, that's one of the things I like about you, Julie, is that when you present, you help people focus, and they love you for it. Some presenters aren't really good at that. They have great information, but their goal is not to necessarily help people focus, right? So you help them focus, and that's really powerful, very beautiful, and people love that. We love when we can focus.
Yeah.
So how do you now discipline your imagination? The challenge is that most people focus on the things that they don't want or the things that they're looking to avoid.
Yeah.
And that's when we allow imagination to control focus. And we always make it worse than it really probably is. So when you can consciously discipline your imagination, you become very powerful. The next step is really understanding that you are so many things, right? So when people say, who are you? Well, what category am I? I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a nephew, I'm an uncle, I'm a friend, I'm a lover, I'm a cousin, I'm so many things in just one category.
Right.
So all of those things are important, and my brain is big enough to envelop all of those roles and put life to them. And that's the beautiful thing about life is be more because you already are. So if I'm calling myself a father, yet I want to be a millionaire, which I have to be the investor and the tax manager and the cash flow manager, and I got to play all of the estate planner and the risk manager and the credit manager. I got to play all these roles, yet I'm calling myself a father. I'm taking that role, and I'm frustrated. I don't have time to do my work because I'm a father. Yeah. I don't do my job because I'm a father. No, I'm so many things. Have faith to switch roles. Also, understand how to model people, right? Remember, success doesn't belong to one person. And a lot of times people will try to own principle. They don't own principle.
Right.
You can model whoever you want to model and make it yours if you know how to model effectively.
Yeah.
So roles in modeling are really, really powerful. And then the next one is that once you put all of this new thinking and new conditioning in, you have to step outside of your comfort zone, and it's always a risk. So take risk. The biggest thing in life is that in order to see the new you, the you that you want to be, you got to step out of where the old you lived.
Yeah.
Right? Because they own that little spot. There's so many triggers and belief systems and biochemistry that you will never know unconsciously. All you have to do is step outside of that. Step into the vision zone. Out of the comfort zone, right? Out of the comfort zone to the vision zone. And you'd be amazed at what's there to support you.
Ooh, that is, all right, everyone listening. I always say, if you're driving, do not take notes. Don't attempt it. I've got this written down. We're going to have them in the show notes because I'm going as fast as I can, but I think I got it. This is, I love so much of what you said. And I actually really want to say, especially with the modeling success, I think I was just listening, I listen to books and read books, but I was listening to a book that talks about mirroring neurons, the mirror neurons, how our neurons mirror others. And so when you're around people, that's why I know both of us like being around positive people that are just going to expand mindset. It's so important because our mirror neurons will mirror what we're seeing in others. And I'm thinking like, oh, that really plays into this idea of like modeling other people's principles or success or see what you like that. That's something. And that's where, whether through you or through books from years and thousands of years, like we can get that anywhere. But I love that you said that. I haven't heard someone say it that way. And I love that. Brilliant. Brilliant. There's so much here. I mean, just looking at the acceptance, I've shared openly, I came from a 12-step world with, addiction with food. And I think many times people come into this wanting to change and shift their life from often a darker place. I think usually, not everybody, but I know for me, mine was around, just feeling like such a lack of self-acceptance and love. And I'm thinking about what you said about where the place to begin. And it's so true. It's like, without that, it's really hard to build the foundation. I just am so with you about that, with self-acceptance and honoring everything because it served a purpose. And that is, oh my gosh, I'm like, that's one of my I work on that every day.
Well, because what people do is when they hear love yourself, what they think is love your conditioning. We're not saying love your conditioning.
Yes.
We're saying love yourself.
Yes.
You might not know yourself. And when you love it, you give it energy. And when you give it energy, you get a chance to know yourself. You get a chance to now utilize that resource. So this is why I always want to be accepting of my conditioning because it has nothing to do with me. I didn't put it here. Like I accept that this thing that in this house that I bought is there already. Yeah. I accept that it's there because it has nothing to do. Once I accept that it's there, I can move it out. Yeah. If I don't accept that it's there, then it's always going to stay. Yeah. Because I don't take any action to do anything about it. So accepting it. Yeah. But the love, when people say love, they're like, Rod, do you understand where I came from and what I've done and who I am and the mistakes I've made? I'm not telling you, I'm saying love self. Because if you were self, those things wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Right? And so love what you know you have because you are alive. Yeah. Everyone that's alive has a self. And that self is divine. And it's unique. And it's yours. And conditioning's job is to do everything in its power to cover it up because conditioning can't survive if self is discovered.
We are in one of my favorite conversations. I'm just going to make sure I'm like, oh my gosh, we could go. So for those listening, I've had conversations with you, Rod, before where I get off and I'm like, I have no idea how we ended here, but that was one of the most in-depth, like deep end of the pool conversations I've ever had. Like, I so appreciate what you're talking about in the depth here. And I think, you said something else two things that really stuck out to me was one, this idea of creating these steps that we take action and taking action when like feeling how you feel about it really has nothing to do with it when you get that vision and then the focusing on not what you don't want, but the imagination piece and maybe just talk a little more. This to me it's often not the sexy part, but it's so important.
So which part would you like me to talk more about?
I actually want to talk, I want to go into the imagination piece. Okay. I think people, I think that I know you probably see this too. If you ask someone, what do you want? What do you envision for yourself? And it's usually like, well, I know I don't want this and I know I don't like that. So just like where to start with that? Like if someone's like, I don't even know what I want. Like, how do I tap into my divine purpose or that vision? What do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's so interesting and what's beautiful about life is that life gives everybody this opportunity if you understand your resources. So if I'm born, say my goal is to be a billionaire, okay? And my dad is a billionaire. And my uncle is a billionaire. And I grow up in $1 billion situation. Yeah. There's a very good chance that I'm going to be a billionaire. Why? Well, because I have an infinite mind. And it doesn't matter how smart I am. I'm utilizing a lot of my unconscious gifts. And all of my references are that of being a billionaire. So my mind will, when it gets uncertain, it's going to push me towards being a billionaire and especially if I want to be it, if that's my vision. If I'm born in poverty and I'm born in shame and I don't really, but I have a lot of gifts and intelligence, and I write down, I want to be a billionaire. Well, I don't have any references. Yeah. I don't really know the first step. I don't have any belief systems. I don't have the identity. I don't have any of those things.
Right.
But what I do have is an imagination. And the unconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what is vividly and consistently imagined. So all I have to do now is I have to create the synthetic experiences for the part of the mind that makes it all work. Mm-hmm. A lot of people go, no, that's true. It's what you do. And this is why everything is so disrupted. Well, not everything. We have a lot of disruption because people are utilizing their imagination, right, towards things that they don't want, or allowing someone else to engage their imagination and take it towards things that other person wants you to feel and believe. Imagination is yours, my friends, and it's there for one reason, for you to get past all of your references to discover your gifts. So I used my imagination as a kid. I came from a single mom, and my dad left after a while, and I created millions and businesses and all these things. And some people in my family don't even talk to me anymore because I was this little silly kid. And now I walk around wealthy and taking care of my mother and my sister and have resources and a great team of people and attracting people like this lovely lady into my life. That doesn't make me better. It just means that I use my resources. That's all.
Wow.
It's people that use their resources for what they want to create, and people that allow their resources to be used against them by somebody else that's using them for you. It's almost like the Matrix movie where your energy, your imagination is being used. So your imagination's job is to create these synthetic experiences. Your imagination's job is to allow for you to create a compelling story. Your imagination's job is to map out the steps that you want to take before you take them, so that your memory goes, we've been there before, right? So that's your imagination's job. That's the universe's beautiful way of equalizing and creating an equal playing field. Also, what I want to say, and it's very important for you to understand this, when you create a vision of what you want, right? So when I create, I remember my first $1 million and my first $1 million home. And I was achieving to feel good about myself. I was achieving to accomplish. I was achieving to show my mother and people who I could be. And I remember picking my mother up from the airport after I bought this house. This is a really funny and sad story all at the same time. And I lived in this beautiful neighborhood. It had 27 holes of golf. We had an equestrian center and beautiful horses. Everything was all the homes were on their own little rolling hill. It was a really beautiful home outside of Virginia in a neighborhood called, Beacon Hill. And I remember picking my mother up from the airport and driving her up to my house. And it was this beautiful home that we built. And we got out of the car and my mother said, "Who lives here? Your boss?" And I was like, "Yep." And we got out of the car and I got her luggage on. She goes, "Why are you taking my luggage on?" I'm like, "Well, you're going to be staying here because this is my boss' house." She goes, "Why would I be staying in your boss's house?" And I said, "Because I am my boss, Mom. This is my house." And I thought that the horns would go, "Oh," and the sun would like shine on me, and my mother would go, "I knew you would be amazing." And my mother just ruined that whole moment. And she looked at me and she said, "I didn't even know you were smart." And I was like, wow, okay. What do I do at this moment? And I just remember the house didn't look as good. And it just kind of like, and my mother did me this huge favor. because you don't achieve to be happy. You can't. So a lot of times when we come from poverty or tough situations, or you lose a bunch of weight, or you gain a bunch of weight, and you think there's going to be this fulfillment waiting for you on some physical result or materialistic sort of achievement, it's not.
Right.
The unconscious mind only wants to become. So it'll help you get to that physical vision that you want, but you got to notice who you've become along the way. And I didn't appreciate any of that. I didn't appreciate my thinking, my habits, I didn't appreciate any of my becoming. And there's where the fulfillment comes. So yeah, have nice things, but the nice things are just a reward. It's not the goal. The goal is to become a person that can create and appreciate any and everything that you have in your life, and start seeing that having the homes and all these things don't make you better. It just makes you an example of somebody that's using their God-given resources. That's it. Sorry to bust some of the bubbles, but that's all. The fulfillment is what you're looking for. People will give you significance, but it's not the goal, it's the reward.
That was awesome story. I didn't know that story. I love that for many reasons. And I think, there's the whole idea of, I'm not a big fan of keeping up with the Joneses. I think you keep up with your highest self. That's really the goal. Like, call it you, whatever you want to call it. Like, if you just keep up with your higher self, that will lead to fulfillment. But I know you see it where there's like, oh, I got to achieve this. And I think it really takes something. And it sounds like your mom just like in a second was like, that's not the real fulfillment here, dear. Like, so sorry to bust your bubble here, but
you busted it. Like, I love you because you're my son, but I didn't even know you were smart.
Right.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
Right. Okay then. Okay. Thanks for sharing. That's a great reminder. I love also just going back to the imagination piece. I'm thinking for people listening that are like, okay, like, how do you make that really actionable? And I know for me, it's I love daydreaming and doing this. So this is like one of my favorite ways. I call it spacing out with purpose. But I think really what you're talking about, it's like also this idea of when you focus your imagination on what you want, it becomes so natural that that's who you become. And that's what I hear you saying.
Absolutely. And that's where fulfillment comes from. And that's all we want.
Yeah.
That's all we want. Right.
Yeah. Talk about, so then, okay, I want to just ask you with the name Trusum Vision and kind of the vision for your business, your companies, I just so acknowledge and honor you as somebody who is looking to make massive impact in this world. And I would love to hear a little bit about the vision and how you want to serve and help humanity. And then the second part will be like, what kind of legacy do you want to leave and leave here?
Mm-hmm.
Just a small question. No big deal.
So one of the things I'm addicted to growth, right? I love to watch people around me grow. And I just remember when I met my girlfriend and we were just friends, my nickname for her was Grow Grow. That just came out. That's what I call her, Grow Grow, because that was so exciting for me because she was growing and I love it. And I think that's really what we're here to do is love and grow, right? Love and grow, love and grow. If you want some commandments, those are two beautiful ones.
Wow.
Because you got all of this potential and you got all of this sort of energy and all of this brilliance, and we don't even know who we are.
Yeah.
Let's just grow, and let's grow proactively.
Yeah.
And let's love along the way, right? Because that provides the energy to grow and the connections and so on. So and that's one of our companies, Growth U. And it's a company just all around creating the tools and the vehicles to grow. And remember, we didn't build this company to make a ton of money because we'd have said something like fix you, right? That would have been, we'd have been gazillionaires with our content if we'd have called it fix you.
Right.
But see, the challenge with that is that most people aren't interested in growing. Most people are interested in relieving themselves from pain, and they call it growth.
Yeah.
But it's only a few of us that are really interested in proactively growing if we don't have the leverage to do so.
Yeah.
And so I really want to teach people that fulfillment and massive joy comes when you learn how to proactively grow, right? How you to meditate. It's like growing with a conditioning program is like a beautiful meditation. It's like eating effectively when you're already healthy. It's like, a yoga practice when you're already in great shape. It just gives you so many rewards, and it shows you so many things that your body can do, and it just becomes addictive. And so if you're going to be addicted to something, be addicted to growth you, be addicted to growing and expanding. We started with a company called Envision You, where we started taking a lot of these principles into companies and doing it in a very unique way, really helping the people become more associated to performing at a higher level for themselves, and thus creating these really great cultures around the country. So culture, leadership development, performance was the focus in Envision You. We built, and again, I think one of the more beautiful things about our company and our team is we've been doing this so long that we can just recognize patterns. I mean, you can recognize patterns. It's easy to put together assessments to really help people kind of look at what is my pattern? Like, there's only so many patterns out there, right? And when you can identify what your pattern is, then that's almost like a beautiful way of communicating to the unconscious mind. This is when the conscious mind can say, I understand what the unconscious mind is doing, because the unconscious mind doesn't think, it operates in patterns. It's not conniving, it's not evil, it doesn't want to destroy you. It's just doing what it's been conditioned to do. Whether you meant to condition it that way or not, that's most people don't. And so really, and that's a line to thrive, is where you can really look at where you are, right? And look at what patterns do I have, and how can I lovingly accept those patterns and start moving in a way that supports my vision, my gifts, and what I want to cultivate. And again, I think that Growth You and Envision You are really, really powerful companies. And then we help people that want to be on our team with our program In-State to Create, the one that you were invited to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where people that want to really help us add value to this world, and we take them through trainings where they can be part of our 45-day growth systems and our 60-day growth systems and our 30-day growth systems to really help people around the world build a habit and keep going through the program until the habit is integrated. And that's the thing I love about it, is our programs are 100% effective, because if we can get people to go from 1 day to 45 day and do the work, they're going to change.
Yeah.
So if you stop, then it doesn't work. If you do, it works.
Right.
And because we make it enjoyable, and because we make it sort of sticky and fun, and we put the accountability in it, and the responsibility, and the flexibility, and the capability, and the vulnerability in the program, people stick, and then they change, and they go, oh my God, I changed, but why am I not excited? Because it's you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, So the legacy I want to leave is, I want our programs and our companies to be all around the world, where when people, right now we're in Spain, we're on our way to Australia, we have an office just starting in the UK. So we really want to go around the world with these programs and really support people in doing the work. Every day I get up and I'll check my Facebook, I'll check my phone, I'll do my workout, I'll break my fast, right? I'll drink. And I want our program to be in that. I want people to say, this is my vision. These are the habits that I want to break. These are the habits I want to build. This is the focus that I want. These are the roles that I'm playing and the conditioning and the modeling I need to do. And here's the risk that I need to take emotionally to find my gifts and get more of what I want to create in this world. And then it's all yours, though. And that's the beautiful thing about it. We don't tell you what to put in. We just help you with the system and the vehicle to grow and to become more.
Woo. That is awesome. My God. And I love what you said. It comes back to, I am so with you. Like, I don't care what culture, religion, where you're from, but you kind of were alluding, like, if you could just boil it down, it's love and grow.
That's it.
These are the ways to do it. I could not, I love how you said that. I'm like, that's it. That is really like love, co-create, grow, like keep expanding, however you want to say it. But that's the point.
That's it. Guys,
yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
If you want 2 commandments, that's how you're designed. Yeah. It's not our opinion.
Right.
We love you're here, and we grew.
Yeah.
I grew, and I'm supposed to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
And I'm here because of love. Yeah. A form of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life leaves clues, guys. We don't have to, people can tell you things, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. Don't listen to me, look around. Look at, go outside and look around. Things want to grow and things want to procreate. They want to love. They want to spread. They want the energy to continue on. And that's what love is. It's this energy of reproduction, reproducing joy, beauty, art, music, all that falls in the love category. And guess what? It gets better, more efficient, more powerful, more understanding. We want to grow. So do it. If you're not growing and you're not loving, then you're moving in the opposite way of life force.
Yeah, absolutely. Drop the mic right there. I don't like anyone listening. If you're not feeling a new positive, like joyful vibration, then come talk to me later. I can't imagine listening to this talk with you, Rod, and not feeling like more, as you said, fulfillment and joy. And that's the point. I know that's why I'm doing this, is that you have a choice. So if you're in a traffic jam or you're in a commute or wherever you are listening, like hopefully you got it. The love and growth, you ooze that. You really do. And I think it's a gift to know you, to share you, to have your wisdom here. I'm so honored. I'm so grateful to have this recorded. I'm like so excited to share you with everyone. You're just awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't wait to share it as well.
Yay.